Lions just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time!
That's right, a company that loves Binford Tools is proud to present a home improvement podcast. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jordan. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm good. I'm ready to play ball. What about you?
Let's play ball. I thought by adding the pause between the intro and kind of my greeting, it might add, just some suspense and tension. Did it do that?
I was a little confused. I didn't know if you wanted me to say something or not.
You thought maybe I went to get a drink, or the recording.
You said you were gonna sneeze, so I thought maybe this was the time for you to sneeze.
I still might. So yeah, we may be we may be editing this whole thing. Anyways, so no. So how's everything going this morning, Jordan? I'm happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy it's Friday. I'm ready for the weekend. After being off for spring break, I just can't handle these full work weeks anymore.
I'll say
it's a rough life, isn't it?
It really, really, really is. Yeah. We want to talk this morning in the opening a little bit about baseball season. It's right around the corner, and this episode features a little bit of baseball in it, so it just kind of felt perfect. Wouldn't you say so? It kind of just something about it just felt perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we see the bat later on in the episode, which we'll talk about, and it's always exciting the start of baseball season. I didn't go to any spring training games this year, though, which, the Tigers are pretty close to where I am, and they usually play the Braves, which is really close to where I am, a couple times, but just couldn't make it over there this year, so kind of disappointed in that way.
Yeah, spring training is always more expensive than I think it should be, considering the games don't matter and you're not guaranteed to see any players that are going to make the roster. So the fact that
they're always like $40.
Yeah, it's always like $30-$40 that sometimes ends up being more expensive than the actual games are, because I guess you get that intimacy. But we're both Detroit Tigers fans, and I'm optimistic for the season. Last year I think things were better than I expected them to be. They were a bit more competitive, and their window is slowly closing. Their superstars
getting older.
Are getting a little older, so you got to strike while the iron's hot. But most articles I read are people are picking the Cubs and the Indians to return to the World Series, and that's just a lame prediction. I don't think these people should call themselves baseball experts when they predict a World Series rematch the next year. I could also perhaps foresee that happening.
It's the same thing with the NBA this year. That's pretty much what everyone picked for the NBA Finals, just a rematch of the last couple years. But did you do your annual baseball tradition where you pick all of the team records and the winners and all that kind of stuff?
I haven't done that yet. No, I do intend to. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. But yeah, I do always do that.
I tried to do it with you last year, but I don't think we paid any attention to it afterwards.
Like many of our preseason kind of ideas, we always try to do football. We picked teams in the playoffs, and we predicted baseball teams. Like many of those things, I think we probably kind of forgot about it, or a couple months later it didn't seem to matter. But yeah, I do always try to guess records, division winners, MVP, things like that. Baseball is my favorite sport to follow still. Each year, football creeps up and gets closer and closer. But I grew up loving baseball and following it and playing it for a while. I don't know. I got the MLB TV this year, so I'm excited to be able to watch the Tigers. Except for when they play the Chicago teams, and they black those out, which is always frustrating for me. But I get to watch the majority of the games, or if I choose to, and I expect them to be competitive this year. The Indians will be better, but maybe the Tigers can sneak in with a wild card spot or something. So
they expanded the playoffs a couple years ago, so it's more and more likely each year, I guess. It'll be hopefully an exciting year. MLB TV just came on my TV package, I believe, so that's exciting because I can watch a little bit of the Tigers. They're on there kind of quite a bit. So
the MLB TV is considerably more affordable than NBA League Pass or whatever the NFL offers. The Tigers. I mean, I can only watch the Tigers games, but I got a whole season for like $50.
Yeah, that's
so
pretty good because
it's 100. With the blackouts, it ends up being like 140 games or something. But like for football, it's like
for football you have to have DirecTV, and it's like $350.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. And what's the closest? So is what professional ballpark are you closest to? Would it be
Tampa?
How far away is that?
About an hour and a half.
You ever been or no?
I haven't been yet. I've been invited a couple times with a friend down here who's also from Michigan. He's gone a couple times.
It's supposed to be beautiful. So it's notoriously like hideous. That's still Tropicana, right?
Yeah, it's the old don't. Isn't it enclosed too?
Yeah,
because it rains all the time there,
yeah.
and no one ever shows up. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an old man or try to claim to be a purist, but baseball just shouldn't be played indoors. A retractable roof, I understand, but you should never build just a straight up roof on a baseball stadium. It just doesn't make any sense. I saw a game at the Metrodome one time, and it's just something about it just doesn't feel right, and I mean that in the most serious of ways. I'm not trying to do like a bit here. Just I don't know. You watch baseball in an enclosed stadium, something just feels a little bit off.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to encounter the Tigers games where it's like snowing on the field a couple games a year. So
Jordan, Michigan, the weather, you just can't predict it.
We're not going to go there.
Michigan weather.
Instead, this seems like a good time to steer towards the episode, which is episode 39 for us, and that is Love is a Many Splintered Thing.
Can you believe how close we are to 40? I mean, really, it's just...
I mean, if you count the two other episodes that we've done, the Santa Claus and the recap.
Season 1 in summation?
Yeah, we've done 41. Or this will be our 41st.
You could tell me we'd done 410, and it would still feel like not a high enough number. So.
Seems like season 2 is dragging out a little bit more than season 1. Maybe the honeymoon is over, as you said a little bit earlier to me today. But we're still plugging along, and it's our intention to keep going past season 2.
In the words of Limp Bizkit, we're just gonna keep rolling.
Couldn't think of anyone else better to quote. So yeah, episode 39, Love is a Many Splintered Thing, written by Billy Ryback.
Ooh, a Billy Ryback joint.
Yeah, you'll recall the last one that he wrote was Roomie for Improvement, which I think we both hated.
Don't remember it. I honestly haven't. I just have no
Tim Rooms with Al. Just remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Chicken Pox.
That one seemed all right.
No, you hated it.
In hindsight, they all seem kind of awful, but also kind of good. So it's complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated. This one aired January 20th, 1993. Don't have any plot keywords, I believe.
Well, I guess we should do them. I'll start.
Let's do this quickly.
I will start with baseball.
Oh man, dummy.
Hey, watch it. Why do we have to do this quickly, Jordan? What's the rush?
Keep going.
Scrambled
Quicker.
eggs.
Godzilla.
Fake snakes.
I'm gonna go with Paradox, and that'll be the last one.
I have one more.
Oh, dang it.
It is pair of ducks.
Boy, I'm so glad that we did that last one.
Yeah, always good to have. I always like to have the last word. Do we have a synopsis this week, Jordan?
Yeah, we do, but it's by...
Is it from the god Tony Topola?
No, it's written anonymously.
Oh, man, those hackers again.
I
wish they just put their names on it, just some accountability. You can say whatever you want if you don't put a name. Go ahead.
All right, so this is a short one. Jill takes a compatibility test that shows that she and Tim are not compatible. Randy gets a chance to do a ventriloquist act, but his lips keep moving while he's practicing.
I mean, that's a pretty simplified version of the plot.
I can't be too mad at him.
Tony Topola would have totally mentioned like the baseball thing on Tool Time. She probably would have talked about Wilson painting.
Tim makes a dummy with predictable results.
Yeah, for sure. Or usual results, depending on perspective.
How you're feeling that week?
I got a little triv here.
Mm-hmm.
The title is from the song Love is a Many Splintered Thing, with music by Sammy Fain and lyrics by Paul Francis Weber, from the movie of the same name winning its own Best Song Academy Award. There's some commas missing there, but it's based on a song and a film. So 1 out of 2 people found that interesting.
Hey, 50-50.
Yeah.
Can you sing me the song?
Love is a many splendored thing. I don't know the song. I'm just assuming that's what it sounds like.
Good.
Yeah, well, good.
Sounded good.
Good.
So with that, let's hop into the episode. We're going to open at home. The boys are making a lot of noise. They're helping with the dishes or breakfast. They made breakfast for their parents, and they woke up Jill and Tim. I think it's a weekend.
Feels like a weekend.
Feels like a weekend. Must be. And Jill wants to know what they did wrong because they're doing something so nice for their parents. And they're also suspicious because they bring out these plates, and they're covered with what you would get at like a hotel, basically.
Yeah, what would you call it? It's like a serving tray? You can kind of just take the top off. Who would have that at their home is what I wonder. I mean, I don't know. The Taylors lived kind of modestly as far as I can tell, so that seemed like kind of a luxury.
You know how there's like a couple things in life that you really upgrade on? For some people, it's their car. They want a really nice car. This is what they splurge on. So
yeah, some people buy a Vitamix. The Taylors, they buy, no, not a Vitamix. What's the thing? What's the mixing bowl thing?
Oh, a Vitamix. It's not that.
I think that's what we have here. What's it called? It mixes. It's like fancy.
Yeah. It's very fancy. My wife has been asking for one for years.
Yeah, we always wonder, like, do people... my girlfriend and I always wonder, like, why do people spend so much money on those when they probably don't use it that much? What's that called?
It's KitchenAid. It's like a KitchenAid stand.
Yeah, some people buy a KitchenAid.
Mixer.
Some people buy fancy scrambled egg serving trays.
Boy, we really nailed that part.
Tim walks down with a WXYZ7 shirt, and I looked it up, and that is the second oldest Detroit area television station. So must be kind of like, how the colleges would send Tim shirts. Maybe this specific television station sent him one, and he's repping it, so that's good. And as you know, the boys made a special breakfast, and they're immediately skeptical. The logistics of what follows are curious to me. Maybe you can explain this to me. But so the boys each give Tim and Jill their own platter, and Tim references having put hot sauce on Randy's ice cream, and he thinks that this may be like revenge for that, payback, for Mel Gibson fans out there, which there are currently none. And Tim's skeptical, so he points out to the side yard and says something about the neighbor's dog, and then he switches them. And then does. Jill takes the top off, and she starts eating the eggs, and she says they're delicious. And then Tim decides to try his, and what happens, Jordan?
Boy, funny gag if there ever was one. The giant, those cans that have snakes that pop out of them? They're pretty enlarged. I'm used to seeing smaller ones, but there's like 5 or 6 of them, and they go everywhere. And Tim he's set off.
Hashtag fake snakes.
Fake snakes.
We've seen this before. They use this already. Do
you think Jill was in on this?
That's what I'm wondering, because how did they know Tim was going to switch the platters, and did they see Tim switch the platters? Because, originally they gave that one to Jill, so did they mean for Jill to be scared by the snakes? And then it just so happened that Tim was scared, or was everybody, in cahoots the whole time?
Perhaps they didn't care who got the snakes anyways.
It's really a conundrum, Jordan. But yeah, these are the same. It's more or less the same gag they used in Wild Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, the season 1 episode.
It was Wild Kingdom,
and that's the one where the real snake goes down Tim's shirt. But this is the same gag more or less. And Tim, frankly, it just scares the shit out of him.
Yeah, he gets pretty mad, but that's the end of the scene.
That's good. It's a heck of an opening. When you have a start to an episode like that you're in for a fun 23 minutes, and I would say we were.
Well, I would disagree, but we are in for something for 23 minutes, and the next immediate something is Brad and Randy coming home, and Jill is working at the table.
Did you see the bowl, the side, the bowl of fresh fruit? Man.
Oh man, they had like 10 Yeah, they had apples and oranges. I did notice
They
that.
were like perfectly placed within there. They had a wide variety. It looked, yeah, I don't know.
It's a far cry from all the cookies that they used to try to steal from the cupboard. Instead, now they're eating all their fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, whatever. I forgot what those are called. Something O's.
Hoopty-hos.
Hoopty-hos. Hey, there it is.
I could never forget.
Yeah, let us
After
never
my
forget.
description of what they looked like.
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah. Every once in a while, you really go off the rocker. But
Yeah, that's
go
what
ahead
I'm
and
all
continue.
about. Yeah, so Randy comes home. They talk about trying to say that school's canceled for the rest of the year or whatever. But they get into it, and Brad lets Jill know that Randy's going to be in a talent show, and he's going to be doing a ventriloquist act. And Jill loves it. This is kind of like when Brad, decides that he's going to be going to a dance. She just gets all excited and is excited to help her son, I guess, realize a dream. So...
We know
I
that
don't
Jill is really into opera and ventriloquism, which makes her a genuine oddball. You know,
Yeah,
like
she's
those are her two main interests. Randy
That-
signs up to be a ventriloquist without having ever done it before, which is very presumptuous.
Yeah, I wonder where he got the idea, but we don't really ever find that out.
It's like go ahead. Sorry,
I was just gonna say, I'm wondering have you ever been in a talent show?
you know the answer to this. Why'd you ask me? I don't want to talk about this. Yeah, Jordan, I have been in 2 talent shows. I did 2 Elvis impressions, one in 5th grade and one in 6th grade.
See, I don't know this. That's why I'm.
You didn't know this? You must.
We weren't friends then.
Yeah, but it was known throughout the school, Jordan. It basically rocked the town.
Yeah, just like Elvis's hips would have done, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell me more about the Elvis impression.
Okay. The first one I did it was in the Han Intermediate Gymnasium. I was in 5th grade. I don't know why I did it. I don't understand what. I had a sense of confidence in 5th and 6th grade that was just unparalleled, and that I can't even come close to matching. Like 16 years later. I did it. It was like a small. I think it was like three classes came together, or I guess they were called teams at that point, when there was a couple different classes that would. So it was like maybe 5 or 6 classes in there, and I did an Elvis impression. My costume was just like a silk shirt of my dad's and like one of my mom's like scarves, because they told me that's what Elvis looked like. And I danced around to Hound Dog, and
Wow. Is there video of this?
No, this is pre cell phone videos. I don't think anybody was. I don't even think my parents were there. Maybe they were. And it actually,
I guess that answers the question I was going to ask. Were your parents supportive like Jill was?
They were supportive. I think probably too supportive. I wish that they wouldn't have, because then I maybe wouldn't have done it. But actually, it was pretty well received. I think I actually mentioned this last week. I think that this sort of helped sort of parlay, me into the role of mayor of Box City. I know people love hearing about my 5th grade successes. I did it again the next year at a bigger talent show, and I had to like try out and stuff. And
They let you through?
I passed. Yeah, it must have been not that many people trying out. And I did Jailhouse Rock, and it didn't go as well. I didn't practice enough. I was I think I got sort of arrogant. I really, like, I'm not joking. I think that I thought it went so well the first time around that I didn't really need to practice. And this was like bigger and in front of more people. And the 5th grade one, I don't really feel that bad about, because I think like it went pretty well. But the 6th grade one, I don't remember a lot about it, but I don't think it went real well. I don't.
There's
remember.
a lot of maturing that goes on between 5th and 6th grade, so maybe it just didn't land
I think I just
anymore.
had like maybe I was like more aware in 6th grade, but my costume was like a white T-shirt, and my mom used like black tape to make it look like it was like a jailbird costume. So it was very low budget, low rent. And I think after that one, I didn't. Well, I think I knew that my career as an Elvis impersonator was just kind of donezo, and I haven't done it since then, and seldom do I talk about it. So
Until today,
Yeah,
when
I wasn't
you
prepared.
revived the impression.
no, I mean there's no impression to revive. It's all visual.
Okay, so it wasn't like Elvis voice acting as much as just like his mannerisms on stage.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if I think I probably just was lip syncing and dancing around. I don't think I was actually singing. Maybe I was actually singing, but
I could have never guessed when I asked that question that was going to be the response that came out. So I'm really glad I asked.
yeah, I wish you wouldn't have. But you can't, you can't run from such things. When you impersonate Elvis at age 11 and 12 in front of your classmates, it's a wonder. And I've thought this before. It's a wonder I wasn't just just mercilessly teased, but I don't remember that happening. So,
Well, you probably did the thing that Tim suggested last episode or a couple episodes ago where you were laughing at yourself.
I most certainly did not. I'm sure I took myself quite seriously. So, I don't know. I guess I dodged a bullet there. But, yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, what was I going to say?
I don't
now
know.
you've got me all reflective
Got all
and
flustered.
melancholy, and I may need to splash some water on my face and look at myself in the mirror for a couple of minutes.
Wow.
No, I was going to say Randy was pretty presumptuous to sign up for a ventriloquist act without having done it before. I think a more logical thing to do would be to do something like what I did, where you like do a song and dance or something, but to commit to ventriloquism without knowing anything about it is an interesting choice.
Yeah, I would think he would do some sort of stand-up or some jokes.
Yeah.
He seems to have some good jokes, and that might land pretty well. But yeah, instead he goes for something that he has no experience in, and I presume takes a little bit of training.
I mean, it seems to, as we watch the episode later on.
Yeah, and let's see.
Tim offers to make him a dummy.
Yeah, he does.
So that's a nice gesture. Jill is working. Tim and Jill begin to kind of converse. We find out that Jill is taking a compatibility. It's hard to say. I want to say compatibility. Things do become kind of combative.
They do.
A compatibility test that she herself made with her work at the magazine. Women take the quiz and answer questions about their husband, and then they see how they score to decide whether or not they're compatible. It didn't really make sense to me in the moment, and it still doesn't really. Do you have a better explanation for it, or is it just flawed?
Yeah, it sounds flawed to me. I don't know why you would answer, because you're just putting your own biases on
At
those
the very
questions.
least, he should be able to answer the questions as well, and then they should compare.
Yeah, and that's I guess that would be more of like, how well do you know your partner?
Right. I mean, it's not. Yeah, she's answering questions about him, and she also made the test, so it is entirely kind of. It's just a foolish endeavor, sort of. But
So foolish that we thought it might be a good idea to replicate it for ourselves.
yeah,
correct?
do you want to go through that now, or do you want to do it at the end?
Yeah, we'll do it at the end, I
Okay.
suppose. But we did take a compatibility test, and we'll get to that
We sure did.
later.
We got a lot of data and stats and information, so I'll be curious
Something to look forward to.
see how we stack up. Tim didn't score so well. He got 98, and he thinks, "Oh, that's really good." And she says, "Out of 300." So
Ooh, that's just
it's
not
one of
good.
one of those patented tests that are out of 300. Like most.
More and more of the standard nowadays.
Yeah, that is kind of standardized testing. It's that 300 scale. Next scene, we're at tool time, and we open with an extreme close up of a wood leg. So pretty cool. And they're making. Are they making the leg of a table?
Yeah, they're carving out on a wood lathe a leg of a table. So Al is working hard. He already had done one earlier as well. You can kind of see it done. And you basically, I don't know if our audience knows what a lathe is or has seen, but it's just like this tool that spins everything. And so you just take something sharp and it kind of carves it for you. So it's
Jordan, I hear sirens in the background. Is everything okay?
After we talked about our compatibility test, they want to come and get us because it turns out we're not compatible and they're trying to break
I
us
thought
up.
you were going to say me talking about my Elvis impression just turned up the heat so much in your apartment that there is a small house fire. And the
No,
fire department
instead, some people who are related to Elvis who now have all of his copyright are going to come after you.
Oh, jeez, yeah, I certainly wasn't paying any. That was all royalty free. Yeah, so I don't know. They're making legs to the table, and there's some lame jokes. And Tim or Al has also made a baseball bat because apparently you can use that machine to also make a baseball bat. And I was reminded of I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I've been there a couple of times, and they have like a mini like Louisville Slugger, not like the actual factory, but a mini factory there. And I myself have a miniature baseball bat made that has my name engraved on it. So I have something like that as well. I saw how it was made. It's kind of cool to watch the machines kind of work, because like any kind of assembly line manufacturing sort of process, like it's very streamlined and quick. But yeah, Tim, I don't really know how this transpires, but he says something like, "Klaus, play some baseball music." Is that more or less that's what he says?
Yeah, he just kind of gets into it.
And he goes to the side and he just starts like swinging. He's got a nice baseball swing.
He does. So does Al, actually.
They both look like they'd swung a bat before, which you would be able to tell if they hadn't. But when Tim, and I thought this was funny, and I think you're going to say that you didn't, but Tim, you got like the dun 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 dun, and then like Tim will swing and it will make the sound of contact, and then the crowd will cheer. And he does that a couple times. Then he calls Al over, and Tim crouches down like a catcher in the background, and Al takes a hack, and it makes like the slide whistle sound, like the whoop, and it's kind of supposed to be a facsimile of Al striking out, and Al gets more and more frustrated, and I don't know, I really like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a little too long, but I did notice that Tim was a switch hitter. I don't know if you saw that. He takes a swing on for a right-handed batter, and then he switches to the left side and hits a home run.
I didn't notice that. No.
Pretty impressive.
Real Mickey Mantle type.
Yeah, it reminded me of our old basketball days that we used to play in my yard.
Yeah.
So we would, instead of using a baseball, because we would just hit that way too far and my yard wasn't quite big enough.
We're just too strong.
We're just power hitters, that's all. Instead we used like a mini basketball, and it became kind of like a mix between kickball, where you can throw the ball at people to get them out, and baseball. So that was a good time.
Yeah,
it was actually some good memories.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun than it sounds. I'll say that much. And yeah, you get 4, 3-on-3, 4-on-4 if you're lucky, and you could play it on a hot summer's day. I remember playing. You work up a real sweat.
Yeah, it was also kind of dangerous because I had my yard, and then you would go into the road.
We were entirely out in the road. Yeah.
So you would one person was usually out in the road, and if you ran from the yard into the road, it was a kind of a steep drop off. So
yeah, and I would always get kind of like PO'd when cars would drive by, on the road.
Can't you see cars. We're playing a game here?
But yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised. I guess this scene did go on too long, but I don't know. I liked it. It was like just silly enough. It was not entirely dissimilar from the snowmobile scene a few episodes back. I don't know. Sometimes I like the really silly stuff, but I also like that Al just like struck out and kept getting more and more frustrated, and I thought that was funny.
It was good acting.
Yeah. Tim after that, Tim kind of tries to relate what he's doing back to like this quiz, but Al pretty quickly sort of puts the kibosh on that, and I don't exactly remember how this transpires, but Al does note that he's a Pisces.
He does.
Do you remember how that came up?
Well, Tim is bringing up, like, he's mocking a woman taking the quiz and saying, if my husband was a pie, what kind of pie would they be? And Al says, I'm a Pisces.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Description of a Pisces, according to Wikipedia, is, I wanted to see if it fit Al. I'm not finding the information. I'm just seeing a picture of a fish here. I'm not sure the relationship. Do you know much about? Are you into that kind of stuff, to the astrology?
I am not, but I can tell you what they are. I have a quick thing here.
All right, give me a little Pisces information. Let's see if it fits
All right.
Al.
Pisces are selfless. They are always willing to help others without hoping to get anything back. Pisces is a water sign, and as such, this zodiac sign is characterized by empathy and expressed emotional capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fits Al.
And one more sentence. Their ruling planet is Neptune, so Pisces are more intuitive than others and have an artistic talent.
Yeah. And then,
that's pretty good, actually.
And the symbol is the fish, apparently. Do you have ours? Or were you going to say that?
I believe, at the end, I also, I wasn't necessarily happy with our compatibility test results and the way it turned out.
Spoiler, I was.
So I instead I also added a compatibility test based on our horoscope signs, and I'm a Sagittarius, and you're an Aries.
Yeah.
So I will talk about that later because it talks a little bit about how we interact.
All right, we got to get through this episode then, it sounds like. All right, so that's basically that scene. Next scene, they're back at home, and Randy's practicing with his mother at the table, and he's just really, really bad at it. Jill's trying to help him, and she's throwing out some famous ventriloquists, presumably. Someone by the name of Edgar Bergen. Earlier in the episode, she notes... who does she note?
Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, Ahmed, the dead terrorist. No, Ed Sullivan. She talks about Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, Ed Sullivan show, yeah.
Yeah, so she's throwing out a lot of names the kids don't really understand, but Randy's bad. Tim enters wearing a Red Wings jersey, which was... has he ever worn a Red Wings apparel? This was the first time I remember it.
Yeah, I don't really remember it.
But
it
it's funny because he's wearing it casually, but do people wear hockey jerseys casually? It doesn't look that comfortable.
Only real big fans.
I mean, I could see you wearing a basketball jersey because at least that's sleeveless. But I don't know, baseball jersey, hockey jersey, it just doesn't have the air of something you just wear out and about. I think if you're wearing a hockey jersey, you're probably going to a game.
Yeah, I mean, they must have gotten a memo that they were using way too many Lions graphics and T-shirts and stuff. Yeah, because we haven't seen those in a while.
It's a personalized jersey. Did you notice that?
No. Wow.
On the back it says Tim, number 9.
Wow, pretty good.
Do you think that was his own? Do you think he had that in real life and he's just I want to wear this?
I guess I don't know. Is he a big hockey fan in real life?
You tell me, and then we'll both know. Tim
made up a quiz of his own. Jeez. The first and second questions are about nagging, to which Jill does not do well. And then he compares her to hockey equipment, and he compares her to, I believe, elbow pads. Because, what does he say? They protect the joint?
They both, I don't know, they both do something to the joint. It's a very quippy interaction here. It's a lot of set up punchline one-liners. It's not really very funny, but you could tell that the writers thought that they really had some gold here. It's It's a 3-question quiz, and he's basically just trying to establish that Jill's quiz was kind of ridiculous, so he made up his own. And his quiz is called "Is your life full of strife because of your wife?" or something to that degree.
Yeah, he basically is just mocking her in every which way, because the name of the title, or the name of the quiz, he did it with some work friends.
Well, there's
Moose, who has a feminine side that we don't know about, and she got 88 out of 7 million.
Yeah, so she didn't score well.
No, worse than he did.
Yeah, they're leaving that 300 scale back, and they're just jumping to 7 million. This was a scene that I think that, like I said, I think the writers thought it was funnier than I did. It's just a lot of puns.
Give me more sled scenes in baseball.
Yeah,
scenes.
I'm just physical humor, Just I don't know. I don't need these jokes. Just show me some bratfall. Next scene, Jill and Randy are practicing again. It's kind of a repeat of what we just saw.
Mark is still mean, basically.
Yeah, Mark is still mean. And he's trying to say hi, Aunt Vivian. I have a great Aunt Vivian. So I thought that was kind of strange of all the combinations to hear that.
Wow.
Isn't that random?
So random.
Tim is worried that Jill doesn't think they're compatible. And this whole thing, it's never an actual fight, but it's just really stupid. This whole I don't know, they fake it's going to be a problem, and it never really is. Jill just keeps saying to Tim that she doesn't think they're compatible, which is what? Of course, that's gonna make him feel bad. That's gonna make anybody feel bad. What's she trying to set up here? I don't know. This fake conflict just seemed sort of silly to me.
She wants a divorce. That's what this is about.
No, she doesn't want anything. She just wants to give him a hard time. Jill thinks that she makes all the compromises, and I feel like we've had this conversation a million times.
When we get to the Wilson scene, we've basically had the conversation there too. So. Yeah,
Jill feels like she makes all the compromises, which we know that she's kind of a martyr. Jill's always I don't know.
She takes one for the team more often than she needs to. Besides going to the opera once and signing a will that he should have signed.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the only things that I think he's done that are sacrifices or compromises. So
yeah, I don't know. She's she complains too much this season. I feel like I really do. I'm tired of seeing them fight about things like this.
You've been married to this guy for 15 years.
Yeah,
I think you kind of know what you're in for at this point.
Yeah, you kind of know what you kind of know what you got at this point, right? Next scene is the fence, and I think we're gonna go ahead and play a clip here, Jordan. Do we have a clip of Wilson?
Yeah, we have a clip, and we're gonna play it.
Do we have a clip? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and play that clip. And,
let's roll it. Roll it.
Yeah, go ahead and play that clip.
Action.
Yo, Wilson, you over there?
Right here, Tim.
Have you finished painting that dummy for Randy yet?
Almost. I must say you did a wonderful job of carving it.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, I've always been a big fan of ventriloquism. A noble art from the Latin words venter and loqui, meaning to speak from the belly.
I do that after I eat Mexican food. You mind if I ask you something?
Throw your voice, good neighbor.
Jill's taking a stupid test. It says we're not compatible. I know we love each other. I just wonder how we stay together if we're so different.
Well, Tim, much of it has to do with the unity of opposites, the yin and the yang.
There's two pandas at the Washington Zoo?
No, Tim, that would be Ling Ling and Sing Sing.
Oh, Sing Sing.
Yes. What I'm talking about is the paradox of a relationship, and a paradox is not necessarily a bad thing.
A paradox is not necessarily a bad thing.
There you go, neighbor.
Yeah.
A paradox creates tension, and tension is energy, and energy is a force, and we all live in this force, and that's the excitement of life and love. Are you with me, Tim?
You're saying a paradox is not necessarily a bad thing.
Tim, I believe it was Andre Maurois who said that a successful marriage is an edifice that must be rebuilt every day.
And I like rebuilding, boy. Hammer, hammer. Yeah, I saw a hammer.
That's because you have an edifice complex. Oh, my gosh, I do crack myself up sometimes. But I think what Maurois was trying to say is that there is a deep chasm between man and woman, and every day we must build a bridge and cross over to the other side.
Wouldn't that put Jill on my side and me on her side?
No, Tim. In a successful marriage, man and woman will meet in the middle.
All right, so outside, Wilson is painting the dummy that Tim made, so it looks like he got to work on that. And they talk a little bit about this. This whole conversation reminds me of Offsides in the first season when they talk about how they have different interests and you just kind of need to listen and compromise and all that kind of stuff. I did like the pun that Wilson made about Oedipus and edifice. That was pretty good.
I don't even remember it. Wilson is into ventriloquism. Does that surprise anyone?
No, it does not at all. But they go on a little bit later. They talk about in a successful marriage, man and woman must meet in the middle and compromise. So I don't know. Like you said, I think we've had this whole conversation before.
I liked it.
It was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But
Tim had some funny. I don't know the paradox stuff. I don't know. There was some the yin and yang, and Tim thinks that they're the pandas at the
zoo
at the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was sort of funny.
I liked the Oedipus joke, but you didn't even hear it. I guess.
Yeah, I probably didn't hear it. Yeah,
went over your head.
I don't know what Oedipus or edifice means, so it's lost on me. Rebuild relationships. There's a bridge between a man and a woman. They must meet in the middle. Jordan.
Every day, you and your wife wake up and you choose each other. You choose each other,
and you build a bridge and you meet in the middle. And
which I think is good advice.
Yeah. I didn't know if you literally have to build a bridge or if that was a metaphor. I don't know the subtlety.
I mean, if you have to build a bridge, we're probably in trouble because we're not that handy.
Yeah, that's true. Next scene, kitchen. Randy's frustrated about the ventriloquism. How many scenes on this episode start with Randy being frustrated about ventriloquism?
It's a really hard thing to pick up, even when you have books.
That's the third scene that has opened with Randy being frustrated about the ventriloquist. Tim enters and he's hiding a doll inside of his coat, and the whole thing kind of looked menacing to me. It's like, Tim, I don't know, can you do it? It just looked weird. He has a little doll shoved in his jacket. Didn't sit well with me. But Tim made an exact replica of himself, making him King Narcissist of Metropolitan Detroit. It's a good. I mean, whoever did it did a good job. It does look
impressive.
Exactly like Tim.
Yeah, and it's got eye movement and everything.
And it's
so
even named Tim Jr.
Yeah,
it looked like the doll from I don't know your familiarity with this, but the Goosebumps series.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
He looked like the Slappy doll from that. And it's scary. Yeah, I mean, both the. Well, I won't spoil it, but there's an even scarier doll at the end.
Yeah, I will agree that one is scarier.
It's also scary just because of the level of humor that they exact on us. The doll's name is Tim Jr. Thus, again, emphasizing just Tim made a replica of a doll of himself.
I thought it was.
Named it after himself.
It was a good doll, but it's ginormous. It's about the size of Randy.
That's true. Maybe it must be really light. I don't know. But and Tim apparently knows a lot about ventriloquism, because he was able to design it in a way that Randy doesn't have to really do anything with words. He just kind of does it. He designed it for grunting specifically. So just to reiterate, Tim made a doll that looks like him, that he named after him, that grunts exactly like him. So I don't know, something strange about that. So yeah, Randy's happy, and he's going to be able to do the talent show just by emulating his dad and making some noises. And I'm sure all the other fifth graders are going to be real impressed by that.
Yeah. So he goes upstairs to practice, leaving Tim and Jill alone.
Well, Jill got videos and pizza, so that's what she says. I got some videos and pizza. Hey, sounds like a nice night.
That's going to be a good night. We don't see those later on at all, but instead, Tim relays the advice from Wilson in the usual way, says they are compatible because they choose to be compatible.
Yeah.
And they both talk about how they don't mind sacrificing for each other. So it's a real heartwarming moment here.
Well, Jordan, don't skip over the paradox that Tim refers to as a pair of ducks.
Oh, man. They're both a pair of ducks.
That was pretty funny. And they make up pretty easily. I mean, it's a really short scene, and it's as if it's as if there wasn't really any conflict in the first place, because it goes away.
Because there wasn't one. But the scene does end with Tim saying that he even likes going to the mall because he likes to buy lingerie, and she likes Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies.
What did he mean by that? Like, he likes buying lingerie for her?
Yes.
I don't know, kind of weird, right? Like, isn't like just the idea of Tim like being in a Victoria's Secret store and like picking out lingerie for his wife just doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't that seem kind of strange?
Can you see him walking around like grunting all the time and everyone looking at him really strangely?
Yeah, he's got his ventriloquist doll in his jacket, and he's like walking through a women's lingerie store. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he make it out of there without being in handcuffs. I don't know. That seemed weird. But she does like Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies as well. So the compromise, apparently. Apparently Tim buying lingerie for his wife is compromise somehow. Someone needs to
because I think it's
me.
Because they go to the mall together, and he would never want to go to the mall otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, guys hate going to the mall.
Oh.
Stupid. So dumb. Lazy. Whatever. But,
speaking of stupid.
Oh,
next
yeah.
Scene.
Do you wanna play the clip here, or no? We were on the fence about it.
I think we've taken up enough time, precious time of people's time with clips. It's not a good scene.
Yeah, but it's so stupid. It's fine. If we're not gonna play the clip, we have to really describe it well. So Tim is practicing, or like Tim has the doll and he's on the couch and he's basically doing like jokes about dubbing in foreign films.
Bad lip reading for a Godzilla movie, which I thought was kind of funny.
It's okay.
As a big fan of old Godzilla movies, it struck a chord with me.
Are you a big fan of old Godzilla movies?
Yeah, I like to watch them. I think they're kind of funny.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, that's fine if you want to make fun of other people's culture, but that's just not my bag. So Jill comes out and
she's got her own dummy.
She's got her own dummy, and it looks like her. It's good. It's not as good as Tim's, but it's pretty good. But it's really, really scary. Didn't you think?
Yeah. It doesn't look as lifelike, and it's not as polished, so it's much creepier.
But it still somehow kind of looks like her.
Yeah, it has a resemblance for sure.
Right.
And,
it is scary, though. It's a lot scarier than the Tim doll. And basically...
This is the doll that would murder you.
Yeah, this is the doll that would murder you. The camera zooms in, and then it's just kind of them, the dummies having a conversation, exchanging, barbs at each other, and it's... Did you get any of the jokes? I mean, she calls him. It's like so. It's so low level, the humor. It's like she basically calls him like blockhead and stuff like that. Like it's as if just because they're using these dolls, they're not able to remember how to tell actual jokes or insult someone. The jokes just kind of regress to that of. I
just think they were really getting into character.
Yeah, it's really bad. And
after you make really bad jokes about each other, you know what? It gets you a little randy, and we're not talking about Randy the kid.
Randy Taylor. Yeah, he says something about like I mean, apparently we should have watched the scene closer. This is why we should have played the clip because I don't remember what happens. But French ventriloquism, and then he says something about French kiss, and then they drop. Just hearing Tim say French kiss after he talks about going into a lingerie store, like I don't know, just like kind of a perverted version of Tim.
Really rubbed you the wrong way.
It really did. I didn't like it. Yeah, it just kind of grossed me out. And then they drop the dummies and they just like start making out on the couch, and it's like it's a makeout. It's not a quick peck, you know. It's they start just kind of like necking almost, and that's how the episode ends. So tonally odd.
Yeah, but
you liked it though. I can tell you kind of liked it. Speaking of Randy, I think.
Oh man. Anyways, that's not the final scene because they want to do some outtakes.
They gotta,
and it's not good outtakes. It's just him screwing up his lines on Tool Time. So
yeah, roll credits, fade to black.
Fade to black. Let's hear your overall thoughts and impressions, highs and lows.
You beat me to the punch.
Usually you make me go first.
Right,
this,
yeah.
So.
Highs.
You're always a big fan of the snake in the can jokes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just like, snake in a can. Hashtag, what did I say earlier?
Snake cans.
Hashtag snake can? Yeah, that's a t-shirt. No, I'd actually...
Not a good one.
None of them are. I didn't really like that much. Okay, highs. That bowl of fresh fruit was pretty cool. It just looked tasty. I liked the baseball scene on Tool Time. I thought that was legitimately funny. And I liked the scene with Wilson, even though we've heard it before, just because it was concise and grounded in logic, and the message was nice. So those two I liked. Lows. The majority of everything else, I would say.
The conflict. That's
the fake fight that they sort of set up but don't really do anything with. That ends up not really being a problem. Wasn't very good. The Tim lingerie making out stuff gave me an upset stomach, sort of. I think
you ran into that more than anyone else in that show.
The last scene with the dummies was a so bad it's good kind of thing. I actually think that was worse than Jill doing
the Bell Bottom Blues.
Yeah, the Bell Bottom Blues 70s impression. I think this was worse actually. So that was pretty terrible. There weren't really any funny jokes. Mark is given little to do. Brad's given little to do. Randy is a focal point of the episode, but he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't really do anything funny or have anything real memorable going on. The Tim doll looked cool, I guess, but it's not a real strong episode, I wouldn't say.
Certainly not in the upper echelon of my books.
I wouldn't say so either. Below average, I would ultimately say. What do you think for highs and lows?
Yeah, I think, talking about the fruit bowl is an easy way out of saying a high, because I think we both know that's the best part of the episode.
Yeah, when they zoom in on that fruit bowl, my mouth
all bets are off.
My mouth was watering.
Yeah, Tim's dummy's good.
It looks good. I don't know it's that funny, though,
No, I'm just impressed at, somebody's skills at doing that. I didn't really like that they rehashed the compromise conversation that we've already had before. And pretty much I echo all of your sentiments on all of the bad things in the episode. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a strong episode in my mind. I think we talked yesterday on the phone about it briefly, and you didn't know if you liked it or not, or something like that. And I was pretty sure that I did not like it.
I feel like lately I watch the episodes and I think,
you're mostly confused.
I don't know. I think that was kind of funny, or there were some funny parts, or maybe I'm just watching them. Sometimes I watch them during the workday, and maybe it's just kind of a consequence of watching a television show after working. I just think, oh, this is kind of funny. I'm enjoying this. But then watching it this morning and talking about it, just like last week, just I don't know. It didn't. The last couple of days, it didn't age well. I'll just say
From
that
what you told me this morning, the problem might be that you aren't really paying attention when you're watching it the second time around.
Well, Jordan, we can.
You're a busy man.
We can play back the tape, but I think I carried kind of the lion's share of explanations in this one. So
Yeah.
I may have said
Is that a pun? Is that a bad pun about my last name?
No, no. Yes, it was. I don't know. The second time around, I don't watch as closely, but that's why you watch 2 times, So
Yeah,
I still,
that's true.
some of it still gets in, but not great. The second season.
Yeah, it's been a struggle this season.
How many episodes do we have left in the second season?
I think we've got a third. We've done 2/3 of the season, so we got a third left. I think there's like 24 or something. We've done like 16. I don't know.
Whew. All right. Well.
Something to look forward to. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I think our listeners have been too. So it's time to get into the compatibility results that we.
When you say a long time, do you mean since yesterday morning when I came up with the idea?
Yeah, I basically since then I've been waiting to hear what your results were compared to mine.
Let me pull mine up. Okay, how do you want to do this?
We're just going to talk about it.
First, we should explain the test. Do you want to explain the test?
Yeah, so we went. This was your idea. I want to give you credit.
Yeah. Thanks.
And so we just kind of Googled compatibility test, and we came up with what is called the Big 5 compatibility test. And this was 50 questions, I believe, or 30. I don't remember. It seemed like a lot at the time.
50. It was definitely 50. Because by 40, I was like, oh, come on.
So it is similar to Jill's quiz, where we are answering for each other, which I don't really understand, but you also answer for yourself.
It's better than Jill's quiz by just a hair.
Just a hair.
It's strange. There aren't really that many good tests out there. I looked for at least
sounds
at
like
least
a
5
niche.
minutes.
Sounds like a niche that we can fill.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We answer questions like every question. It'll be like blank. Some of the questions are stupid. Like
one is blank is normal.
Like a question like blank is normal. You either strongly agree or strongly disagree. So like I would say. Adam is normal, and I would answer that, and I would say Jordan is normal, and that's like kind of how it goes. So for every question, you answer for yourself and your partner, I suppose. Podcast partner. So I mean, do you want to go through it? There's extroversion, friendliness, orderliness. Is that a word? Emotional stability and open-mindedness.
Those are the categories that it groups all these questions
and we have
into.
like percentage breakdowns for each one. And then we have overall kind of scores at the bottom. So what do you want to discuss first?
Let's just talk about, based on how you answered, I want to hear, I guess, like what percentages we were in extroversion, friendliness, orderliness, emotional stability, and
all right. How about we go back and forth on this?
Sure. So I'll start with the extroversion category.
Yeah.
Based on my answers, I am 28% extrovert, which makes sense because I think of myself as more introverted, and you are 78% extrovert.
Okay, pretty close. For mine, extroversion, you are 36, I am 74. So
pretty good.
Pretty good
that's
that.
about.
Yeah.
We're pretty average there.
Yep.
Friendliness, I gave myself a 68%, and you got a 60%.
Okay, friendliness, I gave myself a 52%. I gave you a 44%.
Oh, so we're a little bit different there.
Yeah.
It sounds like, based on your results, neither of us are very friendly.
Maybe not. I don't know. At least we're close. I mean, not one of us is. One of us isn't a lot friendlier than the other one. Go ahead. Next one.
Orderliness. I am a 76%, and you are 48%.
Oh man.
I don't know. Just go on. Go with your results.
I gave you an 86, and I got an 82.
What?
Orderliness is like planning and organization.
Yeah.
How do you think I'm a 48? Plan everything far in advance.
All right. Emotional stability.
Jordan, I have the rest of my semester planned out, and there's a month and a half left. I can't believe you think that.
Listen, I'm colored by when we were younger, how you used to clean up.
Get out of here. Fine. All right.
And emotional stability, I gave myself an 82%, and you were an 88%.
I gave myself a 48, and I gave you a 58. Pretty
Open-mindedness, I gave myself a 40%, and you a 48%.
pretty close. I gave myself a 44%. I gave you a 30%.
Have you? I'm guessing you've taken the
Myers-Briggs.
The Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of this lined up for me.
A little bit, yeah.
So that leads us to overall similarity, right?
Yeah.
Our overall similarity, according to mine, was a 72%, and our overall complementary, I don't know, that seems like a weird word to me, was a 67%.
Well, this is pretty good, Jordan. For me, overall similarity, 75%. Complementarity, 61%.
Huh.
It's pretty close.
I'm not upset about that.
That's surprisingly close. I thought, because based on what we said, I mean, some of our, like, scales were a lot different, but I guess there was the same, like,
difference
between
numbers.
the two. So, and then, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm actually quite surprised by that. Well,
really, to me, that doesn't necessarily mean anything about compatibility as much as, like, we kind of know who each other are.
Yeah, well, maybe that's part of being compatible.
Maybe that's part of it.
Although
I don't know. I
just
assumed
the
that
orderliness. I mean, that's insulting. That's very insulting to me.
What about emotional stability? We're basically crazy.
Hey man, I just live in the real world, you know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I figured that we were 100% complimentary, so that drove me the wrong way.
I think also you got to keep in mind that complementarity isn't a word, so maybe the whole number should just be thrown out.
Well, and I agreed, so I went to the horoscope stuff, which neither of us really abide by at all, and I compared the Sagittarius sign to the Aries sign, and I'm going to go ahead and read the results.
Yeah. And
I think this isn't that great either, but... Here we go. Dynamic Aries and adventurous Sagittarius feel an instant affinity. Both these fire signs like to keep moving, partying long into the night. Aries is more interested in what is hot and new, while Sagittarius has a reverence for time-honored traditions. These different tastes can actually bolster their friendship. Aries enjoys Sagittarius's ability to make any lesson fun, while Sagittarius is amused by your boundless enthusiasm. Together, these two can paint the town red. A shared love of sports could prompt meetings at the gym, playing field, or other athletic arena.
There's some good stuff there.
I will say the only thing to me that made sense... Okay, partying long into the night, I don't think that's my jam.
No, certainly not.
But the sports thing rang true for me.
I think I amuse you.
Yeah, I mean, Lord knows that we can paint the town red.
Yeah.
And I do have a reverence for time-honored traditions a little bit more. And I suppose you are hot and new. You're into the hot and new stuff.
I don't know about that.
Like Periscope.
I've read I've read the description of Aries before, and I think in some ways it's accurate in terms of describing me. But I mean, I think with all that stuff, you know, you
take what sounds familiar and you disregard what doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting, I suppose, and yeah, some of those things rang true. Of course, you know, neither one of us. I don't think we've ever partied until the wee hours of the night, and I suspect we probably never will. But
we've stayed up late, but
we've stayed up late. Yeah,
I wouldn't call it partying.
You have to define party, you know. I suppose if one person's wearing a bowler hat, you know, and kind of distributing Monopoly money,
that sounds like a party.
Yeah, well, it's a party in my mind.
Depends on what you do with the eggs, if you ask me.
Chicken before the egg. Yeah. Well, that was interesting, Jordan. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
I know the listeners enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So
Jordan,
we'd love to hear...
Well, yeah, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Well, I was going to say, I'd love to hear what our listeners think about our compatibility. Do you think we should continue to host together, or do we need to look for different co-hosts?
And if we hear nothing, we'll just assume that they agree with it, because that's the most likely outcome.
Yeah, so I guess we should do something we haven't done in a couple weeks, and that's rip open the mailbag.
Yeah, let's. I know it's about to burst, so let's answer some mail, Jordan.
You've got mail.
All right, in the mailbag, we've gotten a comment from Laura on our site, thehelmetpodcast.com. So here's what Laura said. Fish tanks are too much work for her, and she doesn't really care for the fish too much. So it sounds like no on the fish tank craze. She wasn't a big fan of it, even though we all know it happened in, what did you say, 2002?
Fish tank craze of 2002.
Yeah, everyone remembers. Also, furthermore, a favorite kindergarten memory would be a cool mat that she had for the rest period, but she bets that they don't do that in kindergarten anymore. And I bet they don't either, but, back in our day, kindergarten was a little more fun than it is now, so...
Yeah, I suppose so. I subbed kindergarten a handful of times. I didn't see any mats.
No mats.
A lot of stations. A lot of stations
running
work,
around.
But,
no jungle gym inside?
Yeah, I don't know. Kindergarten, and I'm sure it's changed a lot, but when I think of kindergarten, I think
of trains.
JV and Gilder trains, yeah, we've been through that. That's basically just becoming a staple in the podcast. I think of gluing, Cheerios to numbers for some reason. I think of Where the Wild Things Are, that book. I remember being read that a handful of times. But yeah, the nap time stuff, I often think that would be nice to bring back to, actual work and college and so on. Although I guess college really is just kind of taking naps between classes and stuff. So
yeah.
I guess you don't need to make that any more conducive to sleep.
Prevalent.
But,
at a couple jobs I've tried to vouch for some of those nap pods that I've heard that they've had at Google, and it didn't go over well, which is why I've been bouncing around from job to job the last couple of years.
Yeah, you just keep getting fired too.
Yeah, the nap pod, they're not happy about my request.
Yeah, and then you just go ahead and you buy one anyways and you bill it to the company, and that doesn't go over well.
It doesn't go over well. But so if you want to reach out like Laura did, we'd love to hear any sort of feedback that you have on the episode. We'd love to hear, what your thoughts on our compatibility or your experience with compatibility tests, any of that kind of stuff. Feel free to reach out on our website, thehomeandpodcast.com. On Facebook, we're at facebook.com/homeandpodcast. Our Twitter is at homeandpodcast. And if you'd love to support us, you can either write a review on iTunes. That is a good way for people to find us and hear about how awesome we are. Or feel free to donate as little as $1 to our Patreon at patreon.com/homeandpodcast.
And are we ready to announce our special episode?
I suppose, if you want.
Yeah, so sometime over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be recording how would we say? What's the term? What's a good term for it, Jordan?
Exclusive.
It's an exclusive. It's behind the paywall. It's behind. Well, let's say that it's behind the fence. So if you want to listen to this episode, and we're going to be recording a riff on Jungle to Jungle, the Tim Allen 1990s classic film. So we're going to record. It'll take a similar structure to what we do on here. Probably a little bit more relaxed. We'll work our way through it, but it is going to be behind the pay fence. So if you want to hear that special episode, you can donate to either Patreon or PayPal. And I think that we're not putting any kind of minimum or maximum on it. So any donation, even $1, would get you access to that episode. But I don't believe we will ever be releasing that to the masses. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and, as Jordan just said, donate to one of those two ways, and you can hear it. And we'll give you your money's worth. I can promise. So that'll be coming.
Especially if it's $1.
Yeah, if it's $1, we're definitely giving you. And I think we won't even bleep out the curses. So
it's gonna be explicit.
Yeah, you can hear us swear in real life. What a pleasure. So we'll be recording that sometime in the next couple weeks, and we'll keep talking about that. But get excited, Jungle to Jungle. It's a classic.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time, so that should be fun.
Good.
What are you hearing on the Twitter waves?
I hear things on the Twitter waves. So this week, Katarina at Svezza said in relation to this week's episode, OMG, I love this episode. It's so funny. Randy is my favorite in this one. Heart. So again, kind of like the last week, or I sound like an old man in a phone commercial. At Kig Tweet said, it's Home and Podcast Day. Within the first 10 minutes, Adam does Borat voice and disses global warming truthers. It's a good app. So I want to thank both of those ladies for reaching out to us. Always good to have the support of Katarina and especially Kig Tweets. Poll this week: are you interested in the tiny craze? 5 votes. So people were interested in this poll. 60% said no, it's annoying. 40% said yes, it's neat. So nobody really cared too much for that one. But 10 votes in this next one.
Double.
Yeah, it's double, so it's 2 times as good. Who acts the most nonsensical in Howard's End? 0% said Tim. That's interesting. 20% said Jennifer Sudarsky for letting Brad fish sit. 20% said Brad for killing the fish. And 60% said Jill for opening the account. I agree. Jill was the most nonsensical.
Yeah, I think that's where we landed on it. So I'm glad that everyone agrees with us.
Yeah, and then my picture of you presumably in Costa Rica just blew up, took over the internet. 6 likes, 1 retweet. So
my goodness,
it's funny. Sometimes I spend a fair amount of time crafting these tweets or trying to do funny things, and then I just post a stupid picture like that with a caption, and it goes over well. Just shows.
It's almost guaranteed too that if you would have posted a real picture of me in Costa Rica, no one would have cared. So
no likes. Maybe if you liked it, it might have gotten 1. But yeah, so that's Twitter this week. And again, if you want to reach out to us, it's at Impodcast. So where does that leave us, Jordan? I believe it's your turn to do something.
Well, I suppose it is. That would lead us to the question of the week, right?
I think that's right.
That's right. All right, so we took so long coming up with this question that you had to go get a snack.
Yeah.
So that's never a good sign. But we wasted some of the great topic questions that we could have gone to maybe with the talent show stuff. So it took us a little while, but we came up. We went back to the 101 list.
Yeah, we're just trying to perk up this boring gathering.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And the question that we came up with is, or I should say I came up with, right, is what's your biggest pet peeve, or like what are some of your pet peeves?
Okay. So
let's basically I'm asking you, be a hater. Let's be a hater.
Biggest pet peeves. I would say it's kind of like the same thing, but it takes different forms. So I teach some college, and so I'm around the college kids a little bit. And I don't know that it's college kids. It's maybe people our age do this as well, but I see it most like around the campus. And it's people like FaceTiming in public or like talking on speakerphone. Like people, like kids will like walk around like the halls and like FaceTime their friends. Like they don't use headphones or anything, or like they'll talk on speakerphone or listen to music without headphones. So basically it's a general, like, no, people don't use headphones. And it's just like, I don't want to hear your conversation. I was in the bathroom like a month ago at one of the campuses, and this dude was like FaceTiming in the bathroom. It's just like so, I can't stand it.
Very strange.
It's so strange and just like so annoying. Like, I don't, like, how hard is it to, especially the speakerphone thing, like, just how hard is it to just put a phone up to your ear, right? And the FaceTiming in public is just like, I don't know, don't people want any privacy anymore? I feel like I sound like a 100-year-old man, but I don't know, it just like annoys me.
I suppose when we start talking about pet peeves, you're basically going to sound like a 100-year-old man regardless of what you say.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Mine has to do with the grammar, unfortunately. You know me as an editor of some of your college papers and former website and stuff, so I'm not going to say that I know all the grammar rules, but one that bothers me is when people refuse to use the Oxford comma. And if you're not sure what that is, it's when you list something. So let's say you have a list of 3 things. You put a comma after each thing, even before the and in the last one.
Yep.
And people have stopped doing that because they think it's unnecessary. And I still think it's necessary because without that comma, there's some sort of confusion. And I want to give you an example.
Give me an example.
It's not a great example, but it does get the point across. You could say, I had eggs, comma, toast, comma, and orange juice. And, people understand that those are 3 separate things that you had. Without it, it's, I had eggs, comma, toast, and orange juice.
Like your toast and your orange juice were mixed.
Yeah, that's what that means to me. So, all those people who hate the Oxford comma, I don't understand you, and I wish you would start using it.
As a pretty much daily editor of papers that come in my way from the teaching, it's not being used by the next generation, so you may be in for a long haul. But I'm doing my best to change it.
Yeah, you gotta make some work.
I feel like I've always used it. I mean,
yeah,
maybe
I have. I don't know when that stopped being a thing.
Yep.
But it's an issue with me, and I don't really understand why people are doing that. So
damn kids.
So that really, get off my lawn. And with that, we have really, made this lame gathering a lot more exciting.
I'll say so. It's really perked things up. What are we covering next week?
Next week, we're going to be covering dances with tools.
Goodness. All right. Well, until then, I guess I should say thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me, Jordan, and take care.
Take care, everybody.